Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Caveney, and today we are going to listen to our fifth story in our stories module, and it's called The Bremen Town Musicians. Just like the other folktale that you heard, The Wolf and the Seven Little Kids, Bremen Town Musicians is also a folktale. And remember, a folktale means that the story was told to people out loud and it wasn't written down. So it was told person to person. And in this folktale, it's a type of fiction, of course, because you're going to see that animals are probably going to be talking. So today, I want you to listen and find out the differences in the way that the animals and the people communicate in the story and how that might cause some problems. So let's get started with our story, The Bremen Town Musicians. Once upon a time, there was a donkey who for many years had worked for a farmer. The donkey had worked on the same farm day in and day out and longed to leave the farm and see the world. The farmer was not happy that the donkey wanted to leave, but when he saw how sad the donkey was, he told him that he must go. The donkey left and took the road to a town called Bremen, where he had heard a street band play sweet music. He thought he could be a fine musician too. Remember, a musician is someone who plays an instrument or sings. Do you think a donkey could really be a musician? Soon he came upon an old dog panting for breath as if the dog had been running a long way. "What are you panting for, my friend?" asked the donkey. "Ah," answered the dog, "now that I am old, I have decided to leave my home and see the world. There is so much of the world to see that I have been running in order to get it all in." "Well," said the donkey, "come with me. I'm going to be a street musician in Bremen. I can play the flute, and you can play the drum." The dog was quite willing, and so they both walked on. Soon he came Soon the dog and the donkey saw a cat sitting in the road with a face as long as 3 days of rainy weather. That just means he looks really sad. "Now what's the matter with you, old kitty?" said the donkey. "You would be sad," said the cat, "if you were in my place, for now I am getting old and I haven't seen any of the world beyond the barn I live in. Alas, I want to go and see the world, but I do not know where to begin." "Then come with us to Bremen," said the donkey. "I know that you sing well at night, so you can easily be a street musician in the town. Bremen will be a great place to start your adventures." "That is just what I should like to do," said the cat, so she joined the donkey and the dog, and they all walked on together. By and by, the three musicians came to a farmyard. On the gate stood a rooster, crying cock-a-doodle-doo with all his might. "What are you making so much noise for?" asked the donkey. "Ah," said the rooster, "I am trying to get the other animals' attention. I am leaving to see the world, and this is how roosters say goodbye." "Come with us, old Redcomb," said the donkey. "We are going to Bremen to be street musicians. You have a fine voice, and the rest of us are all musical too." "I will join you," said the rooster, and they all four went on together. They could not reach the town in one day, and as evening came on, they began to look for a place to spend the night. The donkey and the dog lay down under a large tree. The cat climbed up on one of the branches. The rooster flew to the top of the tree where he could look all around. "I see a light from a window," the rooster called to his friends. "That means there is a house nearby," said the donkey. "Let us ask the people what's for supper." "How good a bone would taste," said the dog. "Or a nice piece of fish," said the cat. "Or some corn," said the rooster. So they set out at once and soon reached the house. The donkey, who was the tallest, looked in the window. "What do you see, old long ears?" asked the rooster. The donkey answered, I see a table spread with plenty to eat and drink, and a family is sitting before it having their supper. Do people usually share their dinner with animals? Come down, said the dog, and we shall think of a way to impress this family so they will share their supper with us. The four friends talked over what they could do to show the family that they were not just ordinary barnyard animals. At last, they had an idea. What do you think they're going to do? They're trying to get the family to give them their supper, or to share it with them. Let's see what they decide. Oh dear. The donkey stood on his hind legs and placed his front feet on the windowsill. The dog stood on the donkey's back. The cat climbed up and stood on the dog's back, and the rooster perched on the cat's head. Then the donkey gave a signal, and they all began to make their loudest music. The donkey brayed, the dog barked, the cat meowed, and the rooster crowed. The animals thought for sure that this sweet music would charm the family. Do you think the music that they're making is really that sweet? The family had never heard such a noise, and they were frightened and had no idea what could be making such a terrible sound. They ran as fast as they could through the woods to their neighbor's house. Our four friends were dismayed that that beautiful song had frightened the family so. Still, they were very hungry from their journey and decided to eat what remained of the family supper. When the four musicians had eaten as much as they could, they were full and ready to sleep. The donkey lay down in the yard, the dog lay behind the door, the cat curled up in the front of the fireplace, and a rooster flew up on a high shelf. They were all so tired that they soon fell asleep. Later that night, the uncle decided to go back to check on the house. He found everything quiet and still, so he went inside. He did not see the cat and stepped on her tail. The poor kitty was caught by surprise and jumped up, landing on the uncle's face by accident. It gave the uncle such a fright that he ran for the door, which in turn scared the dog, who grabbed the uncle's leg as he went by. In the dark yard, the uncle could not see the donkey and ran into him by accident. This scared the donkey, who gave him a great kick with his hind foot. All this woke the rooster, who cried with all his might, "Cock-a-doodle-doo! Cock-a-doodle-doo!" Oh no, that just sounds terrible for the uncle. The uncle ran as fast as his legs could carry him back to his neighbor's house, where his family was waiting for him. Gasping for breath, he said, "I have no idea what's going on in that house, but I am never going back. First, something tried to cover my eyes." Do you remember what animal that was? Then something tried to stop me from leaving by grabbing my leg. Do you remember who grabbed his leg? Then out in the yard, something pushed me from behind. And who was that? And all the while, I heard an awful noise asking, "Who are you? Who are you?" Was it really asking who are you, or was it saying cock-a-doodle-doo? The family was filled with fear and ran away as fast as they could. Meanwhile, the animals had finally settled down after being woken up from their slumber. They decided that it was all just a bad dream and went back to sleep in the cozy little house. They liked the little house so much that they stayed there, waiting for the family to come back. And as far as I know, they are there to this day. The end. So let's think about some questions. Maybe you want to share them with someone who's sitting next to you or in the house, or you can just think about them yourselves. So let's think, who wants to move to Bremen to become a musician? The donkey wants to move to Bremen to become a musician. And what other animals joined the donkey? If you remember, the donkey was joined by the dog, the cat, and the rooster. Who do the animals see in the house? The animals see a family sitting down to eat their supper or their dinner in the house. Why do the animals stand on one another to make noise? Remember, the animals came up with this plan. They wanted to impress the family so that they would share their dinner with them. So they stand on top of one another and they start to sing. But why does the noise scare the family? The noise scares the family because they have no idea what could be making such a terrible sound. Because could you imagine if a donkey and a dog and a cat and a rooster were all making their animal noises at the same time? Oh my goodness, what a noise that would be. So here is your question to write about. And it's not really a question, it's more of something that I just want you to remember. And I want you to write about 2 things that real animals cannot do, but in this story they did. So think about the animals in our story, the donkey, the dog, the cat, and the rooster. And what are 2 things that they did in this story that real animals cannot do? So don't forget a capital at the beginning and a period at the end. You can make an illustration to match your ideas. And I want you to try your best. Think about all your sight words that you can spell. And I can't wait to see your writing.